And there you have it. Music Scene Investigation on the air once again. Everyone, Rich Wildman here. Glad you're with us. Thanks for being here on Super Bowl Sunday. That's right. I said it is Super Bowl Sunday. For those of you around the world who don't care, yeah, whatever. Okay.
Who's playing?
The Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos are playing, and I predict, just like the big seal, the psychic seal, that the Seahawks are going to win.
I'm with the Seattle side. As an Englishman, I'll align myself to the grunge city.
Yeah, there you go. So two of us here at MSI think that the Seattle Seahawks are going to win. Tommy, what do you think? Do you think the Seahawks or the Broncos?
I don't know. It all depends who tackles the best singer on halftime.
I think Madonna is Bruno Mars is going to be on the halftime show. He's going to be the headliner. I don't know who else is going to be showing up on that.
Well, then whichever quarterback can throw from midfield and nail him is the best quarterback.
Yeah, but which team is going to win? That's the question put to you.
Well, usually the one with the best quarterback.
So we're going to have to wait until halftime of tonight's show or tonight's Super Bowl to find out who Tommy picks for the win. I guess that's...
And if Bruno gets hit.
But yeah, or whoever gets closest.
No, it's got to be a hit.
Well, I don't think you're going to see that. So how are things in New York, Tommy, other than the fact that you've apparently got more light in the studio?
Yes, well, I got a new camera, too. Anything to help my appearance. It's warmer than it has been, so it should be a good day for the game.
That's good.
And let's see. The beginning of the year was hectic, as you know. I also had a computer meltdown, spent like 2 days rebuilding, and I actually found a place that still sells the refurbished and certified G5s, and I got another one on the way for backup.
All right, well, that's good. And, I just saw this. Pinky pointed out in the chat room that both states have recently legalized marijuana, so now they're calling the Super Bowl the Super Bowl, if you know what I mean.
Of course. and well, it should be.
It'll be a much more relaxed game.
And of course, Ian, that you have Budweiser that is sponsoring the Super Bowl, so it's the Super Bowl with Bud.
Yeah, I like your connotations there, Rich.
So,
nothing gets by you, Rich.
I'm just as hip as the next guy is.
Which one's playing in green?
I don't know, honestly. I'm colorblind. Ask me another question.
Oh.
So, how are things over in England, Ian?
It's been sunny and mild here today. It's been quite nice, and it's been my son's birthday yesterday. Sorry, Friday. My wife's birthday tomorrow. So we've had a weekend of family and going out for meals and stuff and things like that. We went to Build-A-Bear today, and we made a super dog.
Now, is that where they have all of the world leaders go for a meeting every year? Is it the Build-A-Bear meeting?
That's right. They all get to stuff their own fluffy animal, take a fluffy heart, rub it on their noses, and make a wish.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I thought it was the Build-A-Bear meeting, but I now that it's been confirmed by someone over in Europe, now we know.
Except the politicians one, they actually use real bears.
Ah, okay. That could get a little bit messy. Pinky in the chat room is saying that the Seahawks are actually wearing green.
Well, they're waving the colour of the legalisation then, aren't they?
So I guess the Seahawks will win just because they're more stone cold than the Broncos are.
Oh, we could go on with this all night. It's just a dope subject to talk about.
I know it's a hip thing or a hemp thing. I don't know.
I reckon the Seahawks will smoke them.
Yeah, they'll all be buds in the end, though. And
guys, it would be nice. We do have a guest on.
Yes, we do, Tom, and let's meet him right now. Do you want to introduce him, Tom?
Here's Paulie.
Hey, Mr. Paul Miro back with us once again. Hey, Paul, how are you?
I'm good. I just need waking up. I'm so unbelievably disinterested in sport that I realized I was like the Bart Simpson thing. You went on for about 27 days about something, and all I could hear was blah blah blah, and I need re-engaging. The brain cells need re-engaging.
Our pot smoking marijuana legalization puns didn't do
that
the trick.
That piqued my interest again, but then I realized you had to re-engage it back to overpaid people doing something to bully people. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, we try here to hold everybody's interest, which is why we kind of mixed it up with the whole legalization of marijuana thing.
Don't take it as a personal affront. I just hate sport worldwide. It's a universal.
So you're not a big European football fan then?
I haven't a clue. Don't care.
Well, yeah, I think what it is really is you're way too busy to mess with that kind of stuff anyway. I mean, you're out if you're not playing gigs, if you're not touring, if you're not in the recording studio recording something, you're restringing guitars based upon everything I've read. You're a busy man all the way around, from what I gather anyway, right?
Yeah, it is. And if I do get any time, I'll read something that's more of an intellectual bent or about murdering people than kicking balls around. Yeah.
Now, if you kick balls right, I'm sure you could murder someone, but I'm not sure if they would actually put it on television, though.
Yeah, maybe, and I'm sure it wouldn't be popular. I've never really been. I guess I'm out of tune with the tenor of my times. I've always found sport just something a bit tribal and nasty. I'm all into humanity, all being together and not taking any sides, if you know what I mean. That's what kind of
the whole kumbaya thing.
When it comes down,
no, none of that. They're bringing God in there. No, don't get him. He never works indoors. That guy.
Okay, all right. My apologies for that. I didn't mean to mix metaphors and all that good stuff there. So. Now I understand. I read your Twitter feed every day because I have to. Ian says, Rich, you have to read Paul's Twitter feed every day, and I do. And I know that you just played a show last night, I believe. How did everything go there? I'm sure it was a lot of fun based on what I saw on your Twitter feed.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I mean, we rarely get the opportunity to do anything as the band. It's because of everyone's individual commitments and things. But last night was great. We're doing a few acoustic shows with a metal band. It's quite a unique sort of thing. But yeah, it was a very, very. They're always eye-opening because we've been around for quite a while, and the show last night, we got guys who'd been not seen us for 14 years bringing albums that they'd been waiting to get signed for that long, from when they weren't old enough to get into shows, and people who I'd written 2 years ago when they were at school who are now old enough to come to shows. It was a real moving evening. Yeah, and we played really, I mean, without trumpet blowing, we did play a blinder last night. It was really nice. It's always great to put on an Ape show.
Now, I just have a question. We all know that Apes, Pigs, and Spacemen was a metal band, is a metal band. I'm not going to say was, but is. How does that translate into an acoustic show? Is that difficult to do?
Yeah, kind of. Well, thing is, we fell into a category of metal because we have heavy B-tuned guitar riffs in some things and guttural vocals. Thing is, I'm a songwriter, and predominantly lyrics, melody, they're the things that carry a song to me. And a lot of my stuff was written on acoustic, so actually translating it back to acoustic wasn't that hard. The only weird thing's been, because originally what we were going to do was guitarist Kane and myself, we were going to go out and just do some acoustic duo stuff, 2 vocals, 2 guitars. That wasn't complicated at all. It was when the drummer said, look, I want to do this with you.
So
that was a little bit complicated. Yeah, drummers, I shit 'em. That was a bit complicated purely from the monitor point of view, acoustic guitars and metal drums, that was, that took a few things, but he's bought some special acoustic screening now, so it takes about 5 or 6 dB out of things. We wear nice insulated plugs so we can hear our in-ear stuff on stage, and it's a different thing. It feels like you're playing electric when you're playing, but we're going out without a bass player. I'm using super fat, heavyweight bass end strings on the acoustic, and we've sort of got a sort of interplay going whereby it feels like there is a bass player. We've got 2 guitars, we all sing, hefty drums going on. It's impossible to explain, but every gig that we do is like last night. The support guys who traveled quite a way to play, they said they spent the whole time on the motorway saying this isn't going to work. We've got no bass player. It can't work. It's acoustics and it's the Apes. It can't work. And from sound check on, they were just going like, wow, that's kind of like a band, only different. And it is. It needs to be seen to be believed. It's very electric. It's very energetic, but it's acoustic guitars. So yeah, that's about as well as I can explain it, really.
Well, that begs to have the next question asked then. Where can people go out and see Apes, Pigs, and Spacemen acoustic next time?
They're all one-offs. This year, I don't know. I don't know whether we're going to have time, to be honest. My calendar has... With my studio commitments, I'm kind of looking at 2014 being closed already. I'm already booking well into 2015. I really want us to have a chance to do at least maybe 3 or 4 shows this year, but we're just going to have to wait and see. There'll be plenty of notice if we can do one, and it'll be all over the internet, but we'll just have to wait and see.
All right. That sounds, that's fair enough. I can't fault you for that. Now, let's talk about your solo work a little bit, because I know that one of the last times we talked, I don't think it was the last time we talked, but one of the last times. So you get your latest album was just released. Sometimes you get got.
Yeah,
brilliant album, by the way, I think. And
thank you.
So how are things going? What do you got coming up? What are you working on?
Well, I released another album, a double album before Christmas that I hadn't planned to do. Ironically, sometimes you get, whilst the majority of people still see me as the front guy from Apes, I've been pretty prolific on releases since the Apes lost our deal in the end of I think it was about 2000. I've released 13 solo albums since then, and some of them have been compilations, blah 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 blah, but essentially I try and keep 3 on my site at any one time so that it doesn't get too confusing. When I release Sometimes You Get, and when we started doing Ape shows, people started asking about catalog that was no longer available, and I re-released an acoustic collection, a 6-album acoustic collection called All Stripped Down. And what happened with that was a lot of people have bought Sometimes You Get Got, and wondered why songs from that were on this acoustic collection, because I'd done acoustic versions of all the other albums.
Yeah.
So I explained, well, hey, that was released before Sometimes You Get Got was even written, so that's why those tracks aren't on there, And so anyway, the demand was such that I ended up releasing an double album called Sometimes You Get Acoustic, which features just about every song from Sometimes You Get Got played acoustically, and about half a dozen covers and about 4 or 5 Apes tunes that have been massively requested as well. That was download only, and that did really well just before Christmas. It was like a rush job. It's come out better than I anticipated it doing. An unplanned double album is still available on my website, paulmiro.com. And the next plans is I'm going to be doing a solo album hopefully later this year if I get chance, which is going to be called Ghost Heart. I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to finish that. It's kind of half written at the moment. My library commitments, my studio commitments for clients at the moment are off the chart. I have never been this busy. I have not taken even really, I think I've lived in the studio apart from gigs since Christmas Eve. I've not done anything but studio, and I look like that's going to be the case at least until July this year.
Well, that's good. It keeps you busy, off the streets, out of trouble. Hopefully, work coming in is a great thing. Yeah,
exactly.
Paul, do you release anything on vinyl?
No, it's been. I contemplated doing a vinyl release of Sometimes You Get. We're planning on an Apes album. There's going to be a fourth Apes album at some time. Don't know when we all get the time and when everything's ready to go on that. We're talking about doing maybe 300 or 400 copies limited edition vinyl release of that, but we'll see. I mean, the great thing about vinyl is obviously it can't be bootlegged. It can't be downloaded illegally. Your problem is, for example, I'm from the UK. If someone orders a vinyl copy of something that I've released from, say, the USA, I actually lose money sending it over. And which then puts you into that thing of, well, you need to do a distribution deal. You need to get it produced in other territories. Physical product. CD kind of works because I do free postage on everything from my site. Wherever you are in the world, it's free postage. They just about break even when people buy stuff from the US. Vinyl, I'd lose money. So we kind of have to think about this in the future. I don't know. It's all down to costs.
Yeah.
Really.
Now, have you considered, I'm just going to be a smart ass here and say this, have you considered cassettes then? Maybe 8 tracks. That way you could keep the packaging smaller.
It's been talked about, but why on earth would you do a cassette when there's a CD? I know they're cool again at the minute, and I know the kids all like doing mixed tapes that are actually tapes. Folks, the cassette faded out. There is one great thing about cassettes, okay? It defined the ideal length of an album, which was 45 minutes because the C90 was the length of cassette that was perfect. So you had to have an album that fit on one side of a C90 because you could have 2 albums on cassette, one side. The thing is, cassettes are awful. They sound terrible. So for kids to be doing this in a thing of being cool and exchanging it amongst themselves, to me, demonstrates the success of the MP3 as a destructor of hearing. And I mean, I get kids recording my gigs through a PA on their phones.
Yeah, and they listen. That's the thing I want to get into here before we actually get into listening to some music today, is get your thoughts on this, because you have kids that are doing that at gigs, recording stuff through the PA on their phones, and they're listening to crappy audio on their phones all day long. What do you think about these guys and gals that are doing this?
Man, as someone who's working, I work with major labels all the time. I'm very nearly naming names, but I can't do so. The level of astuteness hearing-wise depresses me. I have aspired throughout my life. I've been in this game since I was 3 years old, and I've been in studios since I was 10 years old. And my whole thing throughout my life has been to get things as professional and intrinsically well done as possible. I don't mean necessarily slick, but I just mean getting it that you're using every audio component at your fingertips to make things sound as good as they can.
Right.
The digital kind of idea, when we first went to CD, it was a downturn on analog because it can't possibly take as much signal as digital. Digital is a series of ones and zeros, and there's going to be dithering and there's going to be distortion, etc., etc. Then we went into loudness wars especially from the dawn of the 2000s, where everything was distorted to hell. We also had a thing where you've got a generation growing up on that of things that's plus 12 dB, with non-dynamic headphones, so that what you're getting is essentially anyone who is listening to stuff with unformed hearing is going to be partially deaf by the time they're 20. Now, whilst I know in certain territories they're putting protection in where things can't get above a certain level now, but you're listening to stuff throughout at low quality MP3. MP3 is awful, you know. I mean, again, I'm not going to go into a technical war about things, but MP3s, especially anything below 356, anything that is MP3 is horrible. Okay, it's a small file size, but people are listening to that's being trashed through tiny little speakers on a phone or an iPad or whatever. And that is their idea of production. And those kids are going to go on to make music. That's what I find frightening. That's what I find really disturbing. Even more disturbing than that, Sony, for example, they now do a mastering package that masters to sound like it's on a phone.
Oh, Lord.
Because, yep, it's true. And increasingly, when I'm doing...
I got to show you Tom's face here, though.
Getting stuff mixed. Well, yeah, Tom knows what I'm speaking about. You know, I am increasingly asked to mix stuff more to be phone friendly. And yeah,
therein lies the challenge, Paul. I've always taken the engineer's job as to make the best effort to make something that is going to be compressed and trashed sound as good as possible, so that the trash is separated as much as possible. It's not easy, and it rarely works to perfection, but I agree with you totally. You know, you're my new idol.
I think, yeah, there's an air of compromise. I think the problem is we're dealing with executives generally, definitely under 30, but around the 25 year age, who are now running companies or are really high up in the A&R spectrum, who are supervising mixes. Number one, they want to have an opinion, and half of them are dicks. Number two, they've grown up on dance music. They've grown up on hard mastering. They know nothing about the arrangement of organic instruments. They know nothing about guitars or keyboards or anything other than programmed, digitized music. And they have so much power now that they are dictating how stuff ends up sounding. The problem is, and again, this is going to get increasingly depressing. You've got a situation with TV programming where that's the only vehicle for musicians to make money. Don't ever get me wrong. You are not going to make music and make money by just writing songs and thinking you're going to be famous, unless you completely bend over and take it, and you're very, very fortunate and being happy in doing that. Don't have any idea that you will make money as an artist, because you won't. You'll get money. You might make money as an artist who's someone's vehicle, but bottom line is TV is the only way that a writer can make money. TV writing is becoming increasingly, again, a dance bunny situation where, you know, like America, for instance. America 2 years ago picked up on drum and bass and wobbling bass sounds and things. And now increasing amount of TV shows have crap music. And that is because 25-year-old executives and editors are going, this will be really cool in this show. No, it isn't. A car chase needs guitars and rock music. A car chase does not need bass sounds with filters, because that's a club. I'm sorry, you know, let's have a look. The problem is increasingly there's narrow margins happening until we have a broader scope of people with experience of music administering it. We're heading in a pretty much negative direction, I think.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Now, let's see what you guys think about the broad stroke of artists that we have on the show today. Because, you know, when it comes down to it, what MSI does, for those who are watching and may not know, is we'll bring new artists in and place them in front of our panel. Let our panel give a review of the songs they're about to hear after hearing it one time and one time only. So if you gentlemen are ready, we'll go ahead and get the first song on the air today and let you guys take a listen to it. Now, here we are. Today's first song on Music Scene Investigation. Enjoy it, everyone.
Without you, I would not be the same. Watch as the rain falls, mirrors your tears, because I'm leaving today. You never saw that I was there for you all along. Right at the height, no time is spared. The autumn breeze will carry you home, and I hope that you will know that I'm trying so damn hard not to look into your eyes. And I am not the only one who will take what you wanted me to be and turn it into something healthy. I cannot take a stand knowing that you didn't see my vision and now you knew what you were missing. I wonder what we'd be like if you could prove your mind. So please prove your mind if there's a next time. Tried to leave a trail, hoping that you would only see, but I guess that ship set sail, and now you're drowning sweetly in an ocean of our words, conversations never heard. All that we could have learned will now be stripped down and burned. I hope that you will know that I'm trying so damn hard not to look into your eyes. And I am not the only one who will take what you wanted me to be and turn it into something healthy. I cannot take a stand knowing that you didn't see my vision and now you knew what you were missing. I wondered what we'd be like if we could prove your mind. Conversations in the dark, now looking at who we are. Your voice has always been the spark, it's carried me on this far. Conversations in the dark, looking at who we are. Your voice has always been the spark, it's carried me on this far.
That is song number 1 on today's Music Scene Investigation. We're going to hear from our panel now. Over to Ian, find out his thoughts. Ian, track 1 to you.
Okay, there's a strong starting point here, I think. Obviously, it's not a finished package. It's missing a lot. But there is a song here. It needs some work. It needs some work on the arrangement. Not just from an instrumentation point of view, but from where parts are sitting. At 4 minutes 10, where it's the length it's at the moment. It's a bit too long. The intro needed to be half the length, if not quarter of the length, before then vocals came in. I found the vocalist a little bit whiny. I can kind of see the style it's coming from, that sort of bands like Third Eye Blind, and someone said Ben Folds in the chat room there. And I can kind of see where that's coming from, but I think he needs to work on his performance. The guitars, from a point of view of performance, again, were pretty tight. They were quite nice. Again, production-wise, they sounded very bright and metallic, and were drowning out that vocal a little bit in places. Yeah, you've got a strong basis here. This needs development. This needs instrumentation to come in, big guitars, drums. You could go that direction with it, or you could sort of bring in some nice deep strings, some cellos and some basses, and give it a lot of depth. But really, depending on how this arrangement in the structure of the song is given, to how that will work. But yeah, good start.
All right, Ian, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. We'll head over to Tom and find out what he thinks of it. Tom, what do you think about track number 1?
I agree with a lot of what Ian says. I do think that less is more, though. I would have liked to have heard, one or two more instruments, a piano for some nice top end, maybe a cello or a very simple bass. The intro, again, should be in half. I understand the style, very monotone. The doubling, the only time I really liked that is when he harmonized, and that made it interesting. And the subject material is well spoken. The lyrics are understandable, although the vocal is very low. It needs to be. This is a up close and personal. You want to hear some breaths. You want to hear more expression. There's some timing and playing issues involved. I didn't like when the electric guitar just went to a full stop and then started again. It was a little jarring because it had a nice melodic flow to it. And as Ian said, there's a very, very good start here. And production and execution. I would really like to, I like the singer's voice. I think it would go better on different songs. I think this needs a really strong singer, someone to really emote. If this guy can do it, go for it. The whining, monotonish just is juxtaposed to the emotion of the lyrics. And I agree again with Ian. It's a good start. It definitely needs work. And, at worst, it would be an album cut, maybe not a single. But it's filled with emotion, and it's easy to listen to.
All right, Tommy. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Paul Miro and his thoughts. Paul, what do you think about this particular track?
Yeah, I think Ian and Tom have said quite a lot of what I'm thinking. My thing is I always try and do a very swift A&R overview of where this thing would easiest be placed. As Tommy said, it's never going to be a single, and maybe it'd be an album cut or something. But my thing is there's so much of that introspective navel gazing, damn, she left me on, I lonely, and I loved you so much, but I've gone now, kind of stuff with a guy who sounds like he couldn't grow a beard, songs on American TV. I liked the guitar tones. I mean, yeah, they were underproduced in a demo kind of way, but the actual guitar sound that's coming from whatever amp sim or whatever is coming through there, no problems with that whatsoever. I like the minimalism of it. I totally agree that towards at least by the way he's bringing in is essentially big chorus at the end, there should be some more layers, some piano, a bass, maybe something providing some sort of percussive thing. And my main reason behind that is cut the song in half, make it 2.5, 3 minutes long, and think in 8-bar loop sections. Tighten up the playing, record it properly, get the vocals not in tune, because that's part of the charm is that sort of off-key thing with the vocal. I don't mind that at all, just kind of not quite as off and give it a little bit more brokenness. And then just try and work that track into 8-bar sections that you've got, and from a library point of view, where you've got quite a few cues within there. You've got a verse that could be 16 bars long. You've got a chorus that's 8 bars long, an intro that's 8 bars long. You've got a kind of section where it's built, where that intro reprises later on. If you glue those all together, get them all in time so that they can be edited and looped, which is really easy to do with songs with minimal production, then you could find yourself with something that gets used quite a lot in TV productions. Do yourself a mix without vocals as well. There are elements in that are quite haunting, as they are. If you get the production right and the recording smooth enough and the mix smooth, I think you could find yourself with something that gets used quite a lot in cues there.
All right. Well, there you have it. That's some good advice, I think. Let me introduce that song. That song is called Conversations. Conversations. I'm amazed I've got that right. Conversations in the Dark by A Handwritten Harmony. We appreciate A Handwritten Harmony sending that track into Music Scene Investigation. If you want your music in front of our panel, it's easy to do. Go to MusicSceneInvestigation.com. We select 3 songs randomly every week. Once you submit your music, it may be selected for placement in front of our panel. You just never know. Neither do we until the day of the show. Gentlemen, let's listen to a second song. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All righty. Song number 2 coming your way on Music Scene Investigation. Here it is, everyone. Enjoy.
Like you always do. Hope
on today's music scene investigation. Let's go over to Mr. Tom Chianti and get his thoughts first. Tom, what do you think about track number 2?
Well, generally, I liked it. I was going to say decent mix, kind of decent until we got further into it. It was, well, let me go with the vocals first. I listened at the low levels all the time. And a mixing tip, I think I've mentioned before, if you listen very, very low and the vocal is not the most prominent thing in your mix, your vocal has to come up. And the vocals were always getting cluttered by guitars, and there's timing issues with the drums. It's an interesting song. That breakdown where it went into the short drum and bass part, I think they should have used different drum sounds, maybe a loop or something, cut that in half. The lead guitar was just a wash of effects. Could have been less or just delayed more before they came in to get the full effect of what the guy was playing. When he went into fast notes, there was no separation of notes. And again, my biggest problem is with the vocal. Decent vocalist, nice background parts, but they need to be, more prominent. I think the song could have been a little shorter. The end, I like the end, as people mentioned in the chat. I think that type of 8-bar structure should have been brought in a little sooner. Just a teaser maybe, and cut the solo and the drum and bass break, down maybe in half, and more interesting percussion and switch, and really clarify the upper lows, some nice bass tones, but really didn't ring, it didn't pop, and overall, though, again, another good album track, maybe for TV, something going on as a romance entwines. But a good start. Again, demo needs work.
All right, Tommy, thank you very much. Over to Mr. Paul Miro of Apes, Pigs, and Spacemen. Hey, Paul, what do you think?
Hey, didn't like it. Vocalist, yeah, good voice. The production from that end of the drums and the bass was so wildly against each other, working against each other timing wise, that it made me feel uncomfortable throughout. It kind of had a prog sense, not in the good way, not in a Mastodon we kick ass way, but in a really labored, we're going to make a point here and then we're going to change the point. The middle 97, I lost the will to live. It was kind of nothing happened. And you're there like throughout that 25-minute interlude in the middle when nothing happened, I was there going, please don't do a guitar solo after this. And then there was a guitar solo that wasn't even a guitar solo. It was just this loud wash of nothing that was an 8-bar cycle that you thought, at last it's over. It's so loud and offensive that I can't even hear the drums, the out-of-time drums anymore. And then it went round again, and you're there going, you had a nice chorus starting 2 minutes ago. Why don't you do that? And then suddenly from nowhere, towards the end of the song, 3.5 days later, there's a nice chorus. The chorus at the end, as I believe Thomas just said, people are talking about in the chat room, that's a really nice chorus. And if you got a chorus, milk it. Get your verses to count. Get your rhythm section together. Get it that the bass player and the drummer are playing in the same band and together. And Jesus, in this age of quantizing everything, there's absolutely no excuse for the bass drum and the bass guitar not to be absolutely rock solid throughout in something that's obviously a tight rock band. It sounded a bit rehearsal room, and it sounded a bit like everyone was having their bit and their moment. I think if they stand back from it, think of it
Oh, it looks like Paul's Skype just froze up on me. Not exactly sure what happened there. It looks like we're going to have to get Paul back on the line. Actually, what happened? I do know what happened. I can see it right now. My Skype crashed.
Oh, my.
Wow.
I've never had that happen before, gentlemen. That's a pretty bizarre thing.
Find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's very unusual. Now Pardon me?
I don't find it hard to believe.
Well, I'm going to log back in and see if we can get Paul back on the line here and see what we've got going on.
Random.
Yeah, I know. It usually stuff like that doesn't happen, especially during a broadcast. So we'll get Paul back on, let him finish his review as soon as he comes back on with us, as soon as I get his video back in.
I'm back.
Paul, you're there with us. Yep, you're back with us. I don't know what happened.
My
Skype
I thought
crashed.
I caused a fence or something.
No, my Skype my Skype crashed. My Skype crashed, so we got you back on. Go ahead and finish out that review there, if you would.
When did you lose me? Where was I?
It was sometimes after the 3 days mark in the song. You were milking the chorus at the end.
Okay, yeah. What I was saying was there is a great chorus there that kicks in at about the 3 day mark. That should happen way more throughout. They should milk the vocalist, sit back, and rather than it being a thing where everyone's trying to have their moment, be analytical as a song and realize that there's strong points in that are the vocalist. Make sure that the drums and the bass are absolutely lock solid. There's no excuse for that at all now, for there not to be a bass drum absolutely locked with the bass guitar. And on top of that, just focus on the strengths, as opposed to everyone just meandering and making it into 5 minutes of disinterest. There's some great little moments in there. The vocalist's got a good voice. He stacks backing vocals really cleanly. They should be exploring that more, keeping the melody to the fore, making sure the vocals are the main part of the song, and gelling something into a maximum 4 minute tune, as opposed to some kind of dated prog rock thing that's going to alienate more people than it endears.
All right. Well, that makes sense, Paul. I appreciate your thoughts on it. And let's go over to who do I go to now? Ian, I believe.
Me.
Yeah, let's find out what he thought. Ian, what do you think?
I'm pretty much with the guys. I mean, yeah, good vocal. You did lose that vocal on the chorus when those guitars kicked in, which was a shame. Some of them heavy distorted guitars really were overpowering for most of the mix. Drums and the bass, they were just not locking together. As Paul said, with all the forms of quantization and stuff you've got these days, you could have made that work a lot better. There was just no groove. And all the open hi-hat stuff and crash stuff constantly just drumming in your ear. It was too much. I mean, I don't know if these were live or programmed or what, but it just didn't groove at all. And that sort of took away the heart of the song for me. It made it practically unlistenable. There's some really sloppy moments as well, coming out the back end of that sort of first solo section into that chorus, and it was there was a stop, and it just was, everything sort of came back in sloppily, and it just didn't really fit together. And it was a real shame, because there is something good going on here. As the guy said, there's a strong chorus towards that outro. That worked really, really well. There were some good parts being played. It just wasn't gelling. And the mix does need a lot of attention. Didn't like the drum sound at all. Too much reverb on there, and it just sounded unnatural. Yeah, I'm with the guys, basically.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. The name of this particular track is called Disappear, and the group's name is Highway Lights, and we appreciate Highway Lights sending that track into Music Scene Investigation. Now, we also want to take the time to congratulate our Artist of the Year and our Panelist of the Year. Panelist of the Year, Miss Susie Chase, and our Artist of the Year was, what? I'm sorry, Ian?
Don't rub it in.
I'm not rubbing it in. I wouldn't do that. And our Artist of the Year was Mr. Jimmy Mallory, so congratulations to both of them. As we go into our third song of the day, we're running a little long today, which is understandable. That's fine. Don't have a problem with that, but I do want you to hear the third song today, and this would be it. Here it is, gentlemen, song number 3 on today's Music Scene Investigation.
Sitting in my empty room, alone here in the dark, counting off the memories as I wonder where you are. And nothing is so real to me as the way it feels to me. And I've got to let you go. And I just wanted you to know that even though you're far away, you will always have a place with me. Never saw it coming, I didn't know it was so near, and I took for granted that I'd always have you here. But it wasn't meant to be, and the cold reality is I've got to let you go. Just wanted you to know that even though you're far away, you will always have a place with me. And I've got to let you go. And I just wanted you to know that even though you're far away, you will always have a place with me. With me. With me.
And that is track number 3 on today's Music Scene Investigation. We're going to start this round out with Mr. Paul Miro. Paul, track number 3, over to you, sir.
I'm speechless. That's 3 minutes and 21 seconds of my life I'm never going to get back. That is possibly me being. I swear a lot, and I'm trying to resist doing so. That was the most dreadful demo I have heard in my life. Seriously, and the thing is now. After that initial thing of going, oh, please, someone help me, please. Whenever I asked if that would not have got 5 seconds, it's because I'm on your show and I'm a guest. I realized I'd got to go through the whole lot. Now, let's be realistic, though. These kind of shows are a rarity. And if you send something around in that state, it won't get past the intro. It just won't. It's dreadful. You can't have those kind of sounds on anything anymore. You can't do that. That's my reprimand over with. Actually, when you get past that and be completely withdrawn, it's a really good song. The song itself is a good old school tale of loss country tune that could be put together in a way, demoed in a way where, you know, I'm guessing that this guy isn't trying to sell himself as an artist, that what he's trying to do is sell the song. If he wishes to do that, it needs to be demoed in a way that captivates the ear from the get-go. So get it produced to a higher standard, you know, not an album standard, but there are guys who for a couple of $100 will get you something that sounds so much better than that. And maybe if your voice ain't sitting with it, get someone else to sing it. You got a good song there, but please don't send it out like that, because you're destroying any hard work that you've done there whatsoever. The sounds are dreadful.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Paul. Thank you. And over to Mr. Ian Husbands. Ian, what is your take on track 3?
This took me back to a time when I was a child, and my nan and my granddad used to have an organ in their front room. And it used to have the demo button.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it sounds like this guy has taken the demo button for one of the sort of blues country songs on there, played that and sung along to it, and recorded it on a cassette deck, like I used to when we used to have family get-togethers. You know, I mean, this guy, and also the comparison to Roy Orbison that I heard in his voice. He was obviously trying to get his best for Roy Orbison there, and my nan was a big Roy Orbison fan. So, you know, several renditions with glasses of whiskey of Pretty Woman in the living room sort of came back to mind, really. Paul's right. There is a good song here. And I think, you know, it aimed at a sort of Roy Orbison-esque market, which I don't know if there is one today, but from that sort of songwriter point of view, I think it would work. But yeah, spend some time on getting a proper production and a better vocalist to record it, because there is something good there.
All right, Ian, I appreciate that. Thank you. And we'll go over to Tom and get his thoughts. Tommy, your take on track 3 as well, please.
Well, the vocal was loud enough. Yeah, I have to agree with everybody. The sounds are dated. The production is dated. Yes, it was structured. It is a well-written song. And I think with, you know, proper conditions done right, it could attract some attention. As Paul said, as it is right now, you know, the first 2 notes and next, it was very, very dull cassette-like. It brought me back to, you know, when MIDI first really, strings were, you know, no sustain, you know, you stop playing, so do the strings. But the song content, lyrically, melodically, it's got a nice little hook. And there's a lot that could be done with the song itself. The production and mix, obviously, as everyone has said it. And one thing I do have to say, whether the vocals were recorded, you know, later or over a dub track or something, at least they were loud enough. And so a nice vocal level and a well-written song that really needs a lot of work.
All right, Tommy, thank you. We want to hear what you and the audience has to say. What song would you select as Song is the Week as our panel goes over and makes their decision? You head over to our witness page and make yours. MusicSceneInvestigation.com/witness. Let us know what you think. Now I'm going to turn it over to you guys on the panel to let you make your decision. Let me know what you think about the songs you heard today and what song you want to be selected as Song of the Week.
It's quite tough, actually.
Yeah.
Because, you know, despite the shock and horror of the sound of song number 3, it's a good song. But it's that presentation thing, you know. It reminds me of that when a song's in a raw state, and I mean, I know when we used to have it with label, and you'd be there like, oh yeah, what are you doing then? And you'd sit there with an acoustic and you'd play them 3 or 4 songs. You know, you're never going to present them in that format, but you're going, well, there's this and there's this. and you'd get a very rough vibe of what the thing was going to be, and know you'd got a song in essence there, but you'd never present it to anyone in that form. To me, that's what you've got with song number 3 there. But it's such a shame because it is actually the most exploitable song for someone else. If we're looking at artists who are doing their own material, and for me, it's the first song that I think would be the easiest to engineer into something that could be used in the widest possible financial generating quick term interest.
All right. Ian or Tom, what do you think? Actually, let me ask you this, Paul. Was that your selection then, song number 3?
No, I think I'm going with song number 1.
Okay.
Is that your final answer?
Would you like to phone a friend on this one?
I don't have any friends.
So it's a short call.
I just upset everyone all the time by being directly honest. It's terrible. I don't know. What do you think, guys? I don't know. It's 1 or 3. It's definitely not 2. If we're going with song as a song, to me, it's got to be 3 because it's the best song. If we're going with the thing that's the easiest to exploit in other avenues, other areas of media with the least amount of work, it's song number 1.
Agreed. I think, if someone was to present me a track and say, listen to this is what I've done, can you help me with it? I think number 1 would be the one I'd go for. So I think, it leaves a lot of scope. There was a good song in there. It's left a lot of scope, but obviously the people who are working with this track can do what they're doing and do it quite well. So, I mean, number 3, it's got a lot of issues. And number 2, I just can't forgive that drum and bass being so out of kilter with each other. So, yeah, number 1 for me.
All right, and over to Tommy. Tommy?
Well, I'm of the same mind as Paul. Number 3 is the best written song. Unfortunately, the presentation counts. And in using that as my main criteria, I would have to agree with everyone and go with number 1. It's the easiest one to bring up to speed. And number 2 was just, once Ian mentioned about the hi-hats and crashes, the hi-hats was just way too loud, and there's just so many issues. But I like the guy's voice in number 1, and number 1 is also a good song. So I would go with number 1.
All right. Sounds like we have a decision for number 1 then, if I'm reading everybody right.
Yeah.
You are.
Yep.
All right. Well, there you have it, everyone. Song number 1, called Conversations in the Dark, is going to be our song of the week. That's by a group called A Handwritten Harmony. So congratulations go out to them. Mr. Paul Miro, thank you so very much for joining us again this week. I really appreciate your being here.
Thanks for having me. As always, guys, it's been a pleasure, and I hope I've not upset anyone too much.
Oh, no,
generally
not at all, not at all. And everybody can go to your website, paulmiro.com, to get those 2 albums that you've put out, and also get more information on where they can find you playing live next, I'm sure.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, looking forward
all
to that.
On there.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for being with us. I want to thank everybody out in the audience for joining us. Tom, Ian, thank you guys as well. We'll see you all again next time after Ian tells us who's going to be on the show next week. Ian?
We are being joined by the legendary John Schroeder, who's coming around my house for dinner.
Excellent.
Good.
I'm glad to hear that. Well, we're looking forward to seeing John Schroeder with us next week. Hope to see you guys as well. Thanks for being here. We're going to play out with A Handwritten Harmony and their song Conversations in the Dark right now on Music Scene Investigation. Thanks for being with us, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you very much. Bye.
And...
Without you I would not be the same. Watch as the rain falls, mirrors your tears, because I'm leaving today. You never saw that I was there for you all along. Right at the height, no time is spared. The autumn breeze will carry you home, and I hope that you will know that I'm trying so damn hard not to look into your eyes. And I am not the only one who will take what you wanted me to be and turn it into something healthy. I cannot take a stand knowing that you didn't see my vision and now you knew what you were missing. I wonder what we'd be like if you could prove your mind. So please prove your mind if there's a next time. Tried to leave a trail, hoping that you would only see, but I guess that ship set sail. Now you're drowning sweetly in an ocean of our words, conversations never heard. All that we could have learned will now be stripped down and burned. I hope that you will know that I'm trying so damn hard not to look into your eyes. And I am not the only one who will take what you wanted me to be and turn it into something healthy. I cannot take a stand knowing that you didn't see my vision and now you knew what you were missing. I wondered what we'd be like if you could prove your mind. Conversations in the dark, now looking at who we are. Your voice has always been the spark, it's carrying me on this far. Conversations in the dark, looking at who we are. Your voice has always been the spark, it's carrying me